So good morning or good afternoon or good evening wherever you are in the world. Talent Finders podcast would like to welcome entrepreneur, founder of Think Dreams Incorporate, Jennifer. So Jennifer Ettinger. Welcome, Jennifer.
Thank you for having me.
So Jennifer, firstly, I would like to congratulate you on all your achievements. Can you please share with us more about your entrepreneurial journey?
Sure. So my entrepreneurial journey started, there's a phrase that says, after a storm comes a rainbow. And I was bedridden with chronic illness back in the 90s. I was living a life prior to that in New York City, living my dream, attending my dream schools, having my dream jobs. I attended the Fashion Institute of Technology in New York City and NYU, where I obtained my undergrad and graduate degrees and was working in a space that I absolutely loved. And then fell in love with a Canadian, moved to Toronto, wound up getting my dream job in Toronto, and wound up getting very sick. And it was at that point, after a year of being in bed, my life changed through holistic practices. And that became the impetus for me to become a personal trainer and create my first company, Fit Your Style, which actually is Fit for FIT in New York City, Fit for Fitness. Style is my undergrad, and you're just stepping into your own confidence and power. So I've been a owner of this company for 16 years, which includes holistic studies, and practices for clients, personal training. I'm back in school to become a behavioral change specialist. The company then was translated into various platforms, including television shows. I had a radio show with CBS, powered by CBS, and eventually led me to working on the red carpet over the last 7 years, in which I fell into social media, but through my branded lens and view. So it's been a beautiful journey that all came from me being bedridden.
Amazing, amazing. So obviously you are Canada's first social media correspondent and globally connected powerhouse. So can you please share with us more about how this came about?
Sure. So my whole career changed by one Facebook post. At this point, I had written a best-selling book called Find Your Inner Goddess, yes, and had my television shows. And I had 2 television shows under my belt. And I had posted I was going to California, and I wanted to meet some people that I met online through a social community through the Ricki Lake show. Ricki Lake was in Hairspray. She's the actress, yes, and had a great talk show. And she created a social media community where she had different cities of hubs of people that came together for show ideas, etc. And I posted I wanted to meet 2 of these people in California because they looked like the cool kids and that they were having so much fun. And I just wanted the opportunity to meet them. And so I do have a personal branded hashtag, which is called Pink Dreams. Which we can talk about. And I had posted on Facebook, Pink Dreams, I'm coming to California. Who do I want to meet? And they responded. And I wound up getting a tour on Insider Television.
Wow.
It was so much fun. And by the end of the show, they kept asking me all these great questions. And I thought, wow, they're so interested in me. And little did I know, but at the end of that tour, I was asked to come on and become a commentator for the show. And then that led to me becoming a social commentator for their social sound-off segments. And Insider was the sister television show to Entertainment Tonight, by the way.
Wow, that's incredible.
And I started doing those videos and becoming a video social media correspondent, which then led to the invitation to become part of the Twitterati. And the Twitterati was still from the same gentleman, brilliant visionary, who brought people together with their own brands, their own views and own perspectives, and afforded them these opportunities to cover red carpet events, but through their lens and their brands. And that changed my life.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
Wow. So I want to touch on and talk about social media and the use of these platforms. There's so much coming at us every day in terms of selling brands, products, coaching, just to name a few, which has become incredibly noisy. So what do you believe needs to be done to change the current narrative? And what do you believe we need to do to use social media platforms more responsibly? And I guess now with COVID-19 and what happened, there's even more changes. So yeah, you know,
great questions. So, you know, I believe even in my approach for social media and so what I specialize is in social PR, I'm grounded and I position it through my holistic practice. So it's always been my vision and the vision that I learned from my mentor that it's really about connection and community. It's not about how many followers you have, you know, are you verified, all the vanity, you know, the perfect photo. And now that we're it's exhausting and it can be very draining and people, you know, compare their lives to what they see and people, it's smoke and mirrors. I call it the front stage and there's a backstage and we tend to share our front stage, but we often don't share our backstage is where really some beautiful growth can happen and maybe it's not as pretty, but there's that.
But it's more authentic.
Yes, exactly. So I've always approached my social media from a holistic perspective, just being who I am, just doing my thing, but always with this core of the following. So when I'm working with my clients, I ask them 3 questions that I believe are the foundation for you to move forward, and that is who are you? Like, do you have a sound understanding of who you are? And clearly, what do you do? And do you have a clear understanding? We used to call it an elevator pitch. Remember the speech? Right? So now, like, who are you clearly? Can you define who you are, what you do? And most importantly, well, equally importantly, I should say, is how do you serve? So how do you serve other people? What are your services? And so I always, no matter if I'm working with a startup entrepreneur to a major client status, I ask those same 3 questions because they are, again, the foundation for us to begin cutting through the noise that we see. And I do believe that people now, especially with COVID-19, we're seeing this sense of community. We're seeing the sense of realism. You know, people can't go out and color their hair or get their acrylic nails off. And right? The eyelash extensions. The eyelash extensions are falling out, right? Like it's a beautiful pendulum swinging right now of reality and how we're managing that reality online. And people seem to have a little bit more compassion and empathy for one another right now. So I'm thrilled to see the realism return, living more of that backstage coming front stage. And then when you talk to me about business owners now and like, what is our message? Like, do we charge? Do we dare say that we are, you know, offering things as a fee? And this has been a question that I've been asked a lot over the last 3 weeks with my current clients and new clients. So one should never assume that there's not business, number one. Never make that assumption. And number 2, when we go back to how do you serve, in my particular example, I offer complimentary consultations. Those are continuing. I have one today, knock on wood, full of gratitude. And then also taking my services and understanding that we are in sensitive times right now and making adaptions to that. And people are really respecting that. They're thanking me for, hey, understanding that things are challenging right now for people monetarily. So you've got to understand, you have to be flexible and adaptable, but at the same time, I believe that we have to, I can put my head on the pillow at night, Karen, because number one, I know I'm giving more. It's not about the dollar. And I also know that I'm giving away, quote unquote, free, which makes me feels me as well, like it's my service to do that. And then I also put my head on the pillow knowing I'm honoring my self-worth by ensuring that I'm still creating services that are for a fee because they are going to be able to take people further in their social media because I'm able to service them fully and openly on a professional level.
Yes, sure. That makes sense. So, being a social PR specialist, what do you believe is unique and different and gives you the edge over others?
Oh, I just lost you. Sorry.
Sorry. So, being a social PR specialist, what do you believe is unique and different and gives you the edge over others?
Oh, thank you. Well, I think with the role of a social media correspondent, so again, this was my mentor who created this idea. I can't take ownership for it at all. However, I did then pitch this idea to an outlet in Canada, as I am a dual citizen. And what I love about it is that I think that we are more relaxed on social media than we are on traditional broadcasting. So that we see more of the human side, which goes back to the holistic component of things. So basically, as a social media correspondent, it's not different than what we see as a broadcaster per se in terms of interviews. However, there is a much different approach, and it's a much, I have the liberty of digging deeper and looking for that real human connection because people tend to be a little more relaxed when it's just a smartphone interview or a Zoom interview versus being in front of a production team and cameras. And
and that can be very intimidating for people that don't actually know how to present themselves.
Exactly. Exactly. So I think that we cut through all of that and we get to the heart of the conversation.
So what would you say some of your biggest lessons and learnings have been throughout your career?
My biggest lessons?
Yes.
Oh, there's been a lot of them. So I think the biggest lesson I've learned is that you have to listen to your intuition.
Yes.
And that not everyone's going to be happy for your success. And there's a lot of, and quote unquote, success. Because it's at front stage, backstage again, where people they assume and they put perceived notions on you that might not even be factual. And
they make assumptions about things they don't really understand or know.
Yes, well said. And so learning how to manage all of that and learning how to manage the tough, hard knocks that can come from that. And one of my biggest lessons was breaking away from a family of people that I absolutely wish the very best to today as we speak and sending tons of love. But it also made me have to stand on my own and also dig deeper. And I'm really proud of that because I learned a lot.
Sure.
And so from not only a professional perspective, but also personal perspective of standing in your own, reclaiming, Karen, and standing in your own power.
Absolutely. I agree with you. So I've heard you speak about the significance of building community in your online presence. What and why is this so important to you? And what are the platforms that you use, and do you have some examples of success campaigns you have worked on?
Sure. So to me, community is everything. There's no I in team, Karen, really, right?
No.
And the community is a team. It's a team of like minds that come together and that are open enough, one would hope, to have each other engage with their thoughts, feelings, and opinions, and having intelligent conversations around it, or rallying behind like minds, or challenging in a healthy way different perspectives. And so with that, I have my Pink Dreams team community, where I have an incredible team, incredibly talented people that are so gifted, and I'm in awe of what they bring to the table and how I constantly learn from them. And the beauty of my core team is that We're all of different generations. We're all of different ethnic backgrounds, yet we are rock solid. Like, it blows me away at the strength of this group coming together. And that's just one little example of Pink Dreams and the team, the core team, to live tweeting. So we live tweet television shows, and I've worked on a show called Cardinal for the last 4 seasons. And it's an incredible mystery drama with Billy Campbell and Corinne Vaness. And we have created a beautiful space online of people coming together to live tweet the show and just connect and hang out. And I think that when we approached this last season recently during COVID-19, it was imperative that we look at it and lead through community. It's not about numbers. It's not about whether we trend or not. Again, we're keeping that backstage. We might be trending, and we are, but we're not sharing that publicly because that's not what it's about right now, right? It's about human connection and having a little break from the reality of the world. And what a great way to do that, but to go on to, in this case, Twitter and tweet and just have fun and watch a show and lose yourselves in the beauty of entertainment space for an hour, hour and a half. And yeah, like it's been a beautiful space. So this time around for the show, we're actually creating a pre-show Zoom party where we're tying Zoom into it and just chit-chatting ahead of time. Get your favorite cocktail or mocktail and join us, and let's just talk about the week before, the episode before. And it just allows us a space to have that human connection, a closer human connection during difficult times.
Absolutely. So, what would you say some of your biggest career highlights have been?
Oh, absolutely. My biggest career highlights have been working the Oscars and stepping onto that Oscar red carpet. Every single time it blows my mind.
That must have been so surreal for you.
Completely. I don't have a media background. I didn't go to school for media. I'm a girl from Cleveland, Ohio. That is just your everyday kind of girl. I'm not a glamazon. I'm not a model. I don't fit any of those kind of profiles that one normally sees on a red carpet. And I say that with respect, absolute respect and love for that industry. Yeah. So I'm really incredibly proud of the fact that I've been able to swim upstream in this whole world of entertainment and have a step on the carpet. And the size of it, Karen, you cannot capture that on television. No,
absolutely. It's actually lost on television.
It's just full scale. Knocks me off my feet. Like it's just awe-inspiring. The magnitude of the chains coming down from so many feet up high, and in this international energy frenzy. And definitely covered the Oscars proudly for 7 years and carpet 3 of those years. Actually, for 3 of those years, and then I also hosted a private party for a network, which was unbelievable. So I've been gifted some incredible, extraordinary opportunities that I'm very, very proud of. But I have to say, in closing of that, I couldn't do it without the team.
Oh, for sure. That's everything, right?
It absolutely is. That's the synergy force behind it all. So I am proud that I can represent us on the carpet, but I don't take for 1 minute that it's me, myself, and I, because it's not. It's a group effort.
So that leads me to the next question. As our world has been altered forever through the impact of COVID-19 on a global scale, firstly, how has this impacted you, and what, in your opinion, and advice to our audience listening, as to what we need to do to change or adapt to these challenges?
Okay, so I heard a bit of it. So if I heard you correctly, just like how COVID's affected me personally, like as a business and as a
okay, as a business, and also how what would be your advice, and how do you think, or how have you had to adapt in these challenging times?
Yep. So how I've realigned things.
Yes.
Again, I'm going to sound like a broken telephone here, but thank goodness for my holistic practices and my grounding beliefs, because they're holding me strong. They're keeping me clear.
Yes.
But with that being said, you know, I'm a type A, so I've kept a really strong work week schedule. And I am very fortunate that I'm working with either doing interviews or online with my social media, my social PR clients. Today I have had a culmination of that, the podcast with you. I'm training someone from a personal training perspective later today. Free consultations, going back to that complimentary and serving. I've got that today. So it's just been very diverse, but we translated it onto virtual. And also, although I'm incredibly, you know, I pride myself on being quote unquote productive, there are days where I might have goals in mind and I realize I can't do it. Like today's energy, or I'll see something on the news that will just really affect me and remind me of what's going on. Yeah. And I've learned to honor that. Yeah. So I've gone back to school to become a certified behavioral change specialist, and I'm taking a course through Yale right now, Yale University, on the psychology of well-being. And I share that because those components are absolutely crucial right now in all the work that I'm doing. So in the social media world, what we're seeing right now, Karen, is write the book and be productive and paint the walls. And that might be great. Yeah. On one day at one time. Mm-hmm. That might be great for some people, but for other people, they're just trying to get out of bed, right? Yeah. So we have to honor our feelings and our ups and downs and not be so hard on ourselves if we can't be so productive or we can't feel like we're into writing the book at the moment. And I call it, I read this and I'm coining this now, be your own way through this. Yeah. If you can't force being positive all the time, and that's not healthy. You need to feel your emotions.
Well, life isn't all rainbows and unicorns. So.
It isn't, and you know, I'm all about that, and pink dreams and clouds. But with that being said, never a false sense of positivity, that you have a right to your thoughts, feelings, and opinions, and we need to encourage one another to process that and feel, not numb ourselves with productivity.
Yeah, because that was what I was going to say as well. Is I think everybody has a different way of processing things, and I think that for some people that have never really experienced trauma, I mean, you've experienced it to a degree, you know, going through health issues and other things in life, but I think that when people are not or haven't been challenged to the maximum like we are now, I think that people have, like you say, a very different way of processing things, and we have to actually learn to be tolerant of people as well, because where you are at is not necessarily where someone else is at.
Exactly, and so well said, Karen. Like, I've had trauma in my life that I won't even discuss, and that things have been so black in my life. Yeah. And people say, you're so positive, so how is that even possible? Well, during the darkness, I learned to find that sliver of light that was coming, like just barely see it, and that was going to be my saving grace. That was going to get me through. And that changed my whole way of looking at life, was understanding at a very young age that everything is not rainbows, lollipops, and unicorns. And you've got
you would like it to be, but it's not.
It's not. But it was a tough, hard knocks reality of learning to find my own power. And that's where I come back to, be your own way right now. But be your own way, but if you are feeling a self of helplessness, or you're feeling things are so big and out of control, that is the time you clearly need to reach out and share with someone, I need your help.
Yeah.
And to find resources or ways that they can to try to lift and support one another. So understanding if it is in a area of level of like concern, to get the help, ask for the help. But otherwise, process, just get just process and let yourself get through it. We will get to the other side, right?
We will. And also, I think that this time, I mean, it is obviously tragic and it is very sad because there is a massive amount of loss of life and people are suffering badly from that. But I also think that in a way, this is the universe's way of going, taking her power back, because we have used Mother Earth for so long. We have we've all been accustomed to it, to a great degree. And I just think that we've been punishing, Mother Earth or planet Earth or however you want to phrase it. And I just think now it's just, this is almost forcing a realignment and forcing us to go back to basics and understand what is really important in life. And I also think that it's going to change people's continuous as well.
Again, I'm completely in alignment with you. And I always before this say, you don't mess with Mother Nature.
No.
Like, you just don't mess with her. Like, she is the ruler, the queen goddess. Yeah. And we are given the gift of residence. And you're right. The pendulum is swinging where we are having such a cleanse on so many different levels. And my heart breaks for those who have lost. And my heart worries about my Instacart delivery people and my Amazon drivers and my friends that are nurses and loved ones that are on the front lines, friends of friends. And for everyone that's doing that, like, this is very scary times.
Yeah.
But it comes back to my holistic beliefs and my spiritual beliefs that we will get through. And we'll never return the way we were.
No,
and
everything's changed forever.
Yeah, it is. In our lifetime, who would have ever thought, right? Like, we would.
No, exactly. It's going to be a book. Someone can write a book about this. But now, focusing around leadership, which is a big subject in our current narrative. So what do you believe is different about your leadership with your team, and what do you believe needs to change in both business and on a global level? And what do you believe makes your leadership style different?
Great question. So I fell into the practice, because I didn't even know what was a thing. I was just kind of going intuitively, maybe 7, 8 years ago. I didn't even realize there is such a thing as holistic leadership. And I started writing and creating, and then I started researching, going, wow, there actually is something called holistic leadership. And so I actually adapted all that intuitively into my own work and with my team, and then started speaking on it on a public level, professional level, for the last 7 years to groups all around North America, from very, very large business conferences to leadership conferences I've had the privilege of speaking at, to fellow leaders, with the adaptation of what does that mean? And that means really leading from a place of body, mind, and spirit. So are we feeding ourselves well in terms of fueling our own selves and honoring our bodies with movement and keeping ourselves in a grounded center space and being open and not leading with ego, but leading from a place of wanting to lift and serve others. And that's how I've always preferred to work. And again, that's been something that's been ingrained in me for quite some time now. And I think with our leaders, I hope that they're realizing that some of the lead tactics of scare tactics don't work, and fear doesn't sustain people.
And I think that's what's happening now. I mean,
yes.
That's just why, and it's sorry to interject, but I think that this is going to have an impact on the next US election, however the things will switch. But I think that this is really trying to squeeze out what is really not serving and what is bad. And hopefully it's going to give the US and the world a better perspective, better leadership than currently.
Yes. So just like you shared, like with Mother Nature, right? The changes in the actual fabric of the earth and the world from a physical perspective and the changes we're seeing environmentally, we're now seeing, one hopes that we're going to see this shift emotionally in terms of how people are going to start leading.
100%. So, what are the 3 key pieces of advice you would give other entrepreneurs, and what legacy would you like to leave?
Great question again. I have learned through my career to be aware, but don't compare. So when I was younger, if I saw someone similar with something, within the same kind of realm, I would freak out and get concerned. And that was just my own ego. And that was my own not being educated. You don't know what you don't know kind of thing. Yeah. So literally be aware of what's happening with your competitors, be aware of the pulse of the industry, but don't compare. Just do you for you, and you will find the clients. There's enough work for everybody out there. Even if someone were to completely cancel, knock off my business, they can't do it like I can because I'm the only one with this particular brain. Exactly. So don't get caught up in, I see this a lot with entrepreneurs that I work with, especially in social media, and they'll say, but this one's doing this, and this one's doing that, and this one's getting so many shares, and I'm like, it's not about the algorithm, especially right now, people. Like, what gifts do you have? It goes back to, Karen, who you are, what you do, how you serve, right? Yeah. And be aware and don't compare. So that's one bit of advice. Yeah. And then the second one is the more you give, the more you receive, and the more you receive, the more you give. Yeah. And I learned that from one of my mentors in fitness a long time ago. She taught me, her name's Nikki Anderson, and she's a master trainer. And she shared, get involved in your community and give freely. And when you have challenges, when people know you in the community, your reputation most likely is going to stay solid because people know you for you and your actions, your genuine actions. Yeah. So if you do have that current that comes of conflict, you can still stand tall and know that you freely were giving back to the community that was lifting you as an entrepreneur. And that was very important for me to learn. And I feel it's incredibly important to give back to your community. In terms of my legacy, I hope that when it's my time to pass, not now, cancel. No. I have lived some. To do, Jennifer. Thank you. I've lived a beautifully, abundantly full pink life that I am very satisfied and grateful for. And I hope that if I have been able to be a light being and help people truly, if they were feeling down and they read a post or saw a video and it made a difference, as cliche as that sounds, to me, I did my job. Yeah, for sure. So thanks so much for joining us today. And how can people contact you? Which social media platforms? Sure. So if you're on Instagram, it's Fit Your Style. Facebook, it's Fit Your Style. And it's Jennifer Ettinger at Fit Your Style, both on Facebook. There's professional and business. And then Twitter is Fit Your Style. Okay. And then you also have the Pink Dreams one, right? Yes, correct. Thank you. So the agency page is pinkdreams.inc on Instagram. Perfect. Well, thank you so much, and hopefully we can have you back in the future. Thank you for having me. Great questions, Karen.